So P block elements, I told you in the first video I discussed 13th and 14th group, and here I am going to discuss 15, 16, 17, 18th group. So P block elements has a wide range of applications because of presence of metal, non-metals and metalloids. We know already that the general electronic configuration of P block and how many groups are there, like that. 6 groups are present in the P block. Already first 2 groups 13, 14 we studied in the previous video, and here I am going to discuss 15, 16, 17, 18th group elements. So 15 group elements contain nitrogen, phosphorus, arsenic, antimony or stibium and bismuth. So 16th group contains oxygen, sulfur, selenium, tellurium and polonium. 17th group contains fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, astatine. 18th group contains helium, neon, argon, krypton, xenon, radon. But this helium does not belongs to P block elements because its differentiating electron enters into S subshell. But here, even for our simplification, so we listed all the inert gases in one group, that's all. So these are the elements present in the 15, 16, 17, 18 group. So 15 group is also known as 5th A or nicogens. Why? Because these 15 group elements can form suffocation. Because of that suffocating property, we call these group elements are nicogens. So 16 group elements can form ores. So that's why we call these as chalcogens. So 17 group elements can form salts. Hence these are we call as halogens. But 18 group elements does not form any compounds except xenon. So that's why these group elements are called inert gases. So if you go through with the general part of these groups, we have to study about the atomic size, ionization potential, electronegativity, electron affinity, metallic nature, like that. So if you go down the group, metallic nature increases. So because of increase in the atomic size, so among these nitrogen and phosphorus are inorganic, arsenic and antimony are metalloids, and bismuth is the metal. So if you go down the group also, oxidation state varies. So top ಇರುವಂತ ಎಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಜನರಲಿ ನಾನ್ ಮೆಟಲ್ ಆಗಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಸೊ ದೇ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಶೋ ನೆಗೆಟಿವ್ ಆಕ್ಸಿಡೇಷನ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್. ಬಟ್ ಬಾಟಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುವಂತ ಎಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ರೇಡಿಯೋ ಆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಎಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ವಿತ್ ಮೆಟಾಲಿಕ್ ನೇಚರ್ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಸೊ ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಪಾಸಿಟಿವ್ ಆಕ್ಸಿಡೇಷನ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ತೋರಿಸ್ತವೆ. ಅಂಡ್ ಮೋರ್ ಓವರ್ ಹಿಯರ್ bismuth, lead, astatine, so these are specially showing positive. So bismuth shows +2 oxidation state, and lead also shows +2 oxidation state. Antimony also shows +2 oxidation state. So but why this least oxidation state? Because of inert pair effect. I told you already, as the d and f orbital increases, so shielding effect decreases. Due to the poor shielding effect, a strong electrostatic force of attraction will be applying between protons to outermost valential electron. As a result, excitation is not possible. Because of lack of excitation, so they can show +2 oxidation state, whereas the remaining phosphorus can show +5, nitrogen also can show +5, arsenic also can show +5, stibium also shows +5, but here it is +6. So nitrogen and oxygen, fluorine, they are non-metal, they can show negative also. Nitrogen showing -3, oxygen showing -2, fluorine showing, always fluorine shows -1 oxidation state in the combined form because of highly electronegative nature of fluorine atom. So these are various oxidation states of these group elements, and whatever when they react with oxygen they form oxides. So if you take nitrogen forming various oxides, nitrogen dioxide, nitrous oxide, nitric oxide, like that, nitrogen pentoxide, similarly phosphorus. So all these elements reacts, except inert gases, all these elements reacts with the oxygen forming various oxides. Similarly, when they reacts with nitrogen they form nitrides. When they reacts with the halogen forming halides. When they reacts with oxygen forming hydrides in nature. So these are various chemical general discussion regarding these group elements. So apart from that, in the 17th group we have one more important compounds called interhalogen compounds. Interhalogen compounds, that is one halogen can react with another halogen itself. So they can form a special type of compounds called XX dash, XX dash 3, XX dash 5, XX dash 7. So these are the examples for interhalogen compound where X is having a less electronegative element and X dash is a more electronegative element. So if you compare X2 and XX dash, the bond dissociation energy is more in X2 rather than XX dash. Here less energy is required to break the bond. So because of interhalogen compound, electronegativity difference is more. Because of electronegativity more difference, bond length is more here. Bond length is more. Because of more bond length, so here bond energy is less. Because of less bond dissociation energy, interhalogen compounds are more reactive than the respective halogens. So if you go through with the electronegativity of the 17th group, so generally electron affinity of the 17th group elements. So generally fluorine is having more electron affinity than chlorine, like that it will be the order. But here order is changed as chlorine is more electron affinity than fluorine, than bromine and iodine. So this is because of inter-electronic repulsion. So similarly, so if you take F2 and Cl2, so which is having more bond dissociation energy here? So chlorine is having more bond dissociation rather than fluorine. Even though bond length is less in F2, so its bond dissociation energy is less. So because of inter-electronic repulsion. So these are some of the reasonings for these 17th group elements. So we have so many points in here. So next is if we go through with the next part, that is preparation and properties of some important compounds. In the 15 group elements, we are going to discuss about dinitrogen, ammonia, nitric acid, oxides of nitrogen. So here ammonia can be prepared industrially by using Haber's process, and the catalyst use optimum conditions, like that. So yeah, it's important. One more compound is nitric acid. This is industrially prepared by using Oswald's process. So here dilute and concentrated nitric acid reacts with copper and zinc. It gives different products. So nitric acid can act as oxidizing agent. It readily oxidizes metal to metal nitrates. The products formed here depends upon the concentration of the nitric acid as well as nature of metal. In case of copper, it gives different compounds. In case of zinc, it gives different products. So that is about our nitric acid and oxides of nitrogen. So we have various types of oxides: nitrous oxide, nitrogen dioxide, nitric oxide, like that. So we have variety of oxides and their structures also. So next is phosphorus, allotropic forms of phosphorus. We have white, red and black phosphorus. As the intensity of the color increases, the reactivity decreases. So among white, red and black, so the black is having more intensive color, its reactivity is less, whereas white phosphorus is more reactive than red. Red is more reactive when compared to black. So this is how we have different allotropic forms and their structures and their nature, like that. So phosphine is one of the poisonous gas of phosphorus. So hydride of phosphorus is there here. So then phosphorus trichloride, phosphorus pentachloride. So white phosphorus P4 reacts with excess of chlorine, gives PCl5. Limited supply of chlorine gives PCl3. So where PCl3 upon hydrolysis gives complete hydrolysis gives phosphorus acid, and PCl5 upon complete hydrolysis gives phosphoric acid. And we know the basicity. How to calculate the basicity also we know that. Number of OH group of oxo acids are called basicity. So next is 16th group element. In the 16th group elements, oxygen and sulfur are discussed. Oxygen important compounds are dioxygen, ozone, oxides. So ozone, very few reactions will be there, but it is very important oxidizing agent. It can oxidize lead sulfide to lead sulfate, nitric oxide to nitrogen dioxide, iodide to iodine, like that. So here O2 is there. How to prepare O2 and what are the properties of water, dioxygen and oxides. I told you in the previous video itself, oxides are of so many types: acidic, basic, neutral, amphoteric, and their examples also. Similarly, in case of sulfur, allotropic forms of sulfur are there. So then sulfur dioxide will be there. Sulfur dioxide is a reducing agent. Remember, sulfur dioxide is a reducing agent because here sulfur will not be in a maximum oxidation state. The oxidation state of sulfur here is +4, hence it can act as a reducing agent. but in case of sulfuric acid, the oxidation state of sulfur is +6. Hence, it can act as oxidizing agent, and this sulfuric acid has can be industrially prepared by using Contact process. And this sulfuric acid has very important for properties. It can act as dehydrating agent, high volatile nature of sulfuric acid, and dehydrating agent, and it can act as oxidizing agent, and it is a strong acid. So these are the various important characteristic properties of sulfuric acid. And if you go to with the 17th group, we have chlorine. So chlorine can form two important compound. One is hydrochloric acid and another one is chlorine. So we have so many preparations and properties of these molecules already we studied in the PU classes itself. So another one is interhalogen compounds. I told you these are the interhalogen compounds. So and their nature, and the 18th group elements, their occurrence very important, and xenon compounds and their structure. Xenon compounds are obtained. So xenon can form compounds. This can be observed by a scientist called Neil Bartlett. So by treating that, by replacing the O2 plus of this complex by xenon, not xenon, so platinum hexafluoride, so minus to this O2 plus is there, so it's a complex. Here O2 plus is replaced by Xe plus, it gives xenon platinum hexafluoride. So this is the first noble gas compound prepared here. So by replacing O2 plus by Xe plus, why replace O2 plus by Xe plus? Because both O2 plus and Xe plus having almost nearly same ionization potential, that is 1140 kilojoule per mole, I think. So because of these similar ionization potential of O2 plus and Xe plus, so he replaced O2 plus by Xe plus, and he synthesized a first noble gas compound, that is xenon platinum hexafluoride. After that, so many discussions will be going on. Then we have xenon fluoride, xenon oxides. So these xenon fluorides and oxides are obtained by treating xenon with fluorine. First it gives xenon hexafluoride. Xenon hexafluoride upon hydrolysis gives xenon oxyfluorides. And what are their structures, what are their hybridization, all these things. So if you go through with all these things, you may solve so many questions here. So these are the various points regarding 15, 16, 17, 18 group. And let me see some questions now. So let me see the first question now. Which of the following pentahalides cannot be formed? So here phosphorus, arsenic, antimony, bismuth, all are 15 group elements. So 15 group elements are nitrogen, phosphorus, arsenic, antimony, and bismuth. I told you in the synopsis itself, if you go down the group, so here bismuth, nitrogen can show -3 or +3 or +5 oxidation state, and phosphorus also can show -3, +3 and +5 oxidation state. Arsenic can show only +3 or +5. So bismuth also shows +3 and +5, but antimony shows, bismuth shows only +3 but not +5. So this is why it can show only +3 oxidation state, because of inert pair effect. Inert pair effect. What is this inert pair effect? So if you take 15 group element, so it has general electronic configuration of Ns2 Np3. So in the Ns orbital we have 2 electrons, in the Np orbital we have 3 electrons. So in the Nd orbital we have vacant boxes. So here one of the electron has to excite from Ns to Nd, so then only it can show 5 unpaired electron and showing +5 oxidation state. But if you go down the group, so due to increase in the d and f orbitals, there is a poor shielding effect. Poor shielding effect leads to increase the electrostatic force of attraction between protons to the electrons present in the valence shell. So this electrostatic force of attraction increases. So due to increase in this attraction, these electrons will not undergo excitation. Because of does not showing excitation, so here bismuth can show only +3 oxidation state. A pair of electron does not involved in the excitation due to poor shielding effect of d and f orbitals is called inert pair effect. What is inert pair effect? A pair of electrons, that is Ns2, a pair of electron which does not undergo excitation because of very poor shielding effect of d and f orbitals is called inert pair effect. Because of this inert pair effect, bismuth can show only +3 oxidation state but not +5. Because of this +3 oxidation state, bismuth can form only trihalide instead of pentahalide. But rest of the elements, that is phosphorus, antimony and arsenic and antimony, these can show +5 oxidation state. Hence they can form pentahalides. But bismuth cannot form pentahalide because of inert pair effect. Hence here the correct option is option D. So next question is, when zinc reacts with very dilute nitric acid, one of the product formed is, I told you, so nitric acid can act as an oxidizing agent when it reacts with a metal, forming respective metal nitrates and byproducts. So that products formed here depends upon the concentration of nitric acid as well as nature of metal, So if you take zinc, when it reacts with concentrated nitric acid, so concentrated nitric acid, it forms zinc nitrate and nitrogen dioxide and water. So the same zinc reacts with dilute nitric acid, it forms zinc nitrate. One of the product is same here. So whether it may be a concentrated or dilute, so zinc forms zinc nitrate, but in case of concentrated nitric acid it gives nitrogen dioxide. In case of dilute nitric acid it gives nitrous oxide and water. So similarly, if you take copper, another metal rather than zinc, so when it reacts with concentrated nitric acid, so it gives copper nitrate and nitrogen dioxide and water. Similarly, the same copper reacts with dilute nitric acid. Again it forms copper nitrate. Instead of nitrogen dioxide, it forms nitric oxide and water. So you just see the nature of byproducts are different here. In case of concentrated nitric acid, byproduct is nitrogen dioxide. But in case of dilute nitric acid, in case of zinc it gives nitrous oxide, but in case of copper it gives nitric oxide. Why these byproducts are differ? Due to differ in the concentration, nature of metal. So here actually it forms when zinc reacts with dilute HNO3, it forms ammonium nitrate. This ammonium nitrate, upon thermal decomposition, it gives nitrous oxide and water. So that's why, so when zinc reacts with a very dilute nitric oxide, one of the product formed here is ammonium nitrate. So this is the right answer here. The next question is, 1 mole of calcium phosphide reacts with excess of water. So it gives 1 mole of phosphine, 2 moles of phosphoric acid, 2 moles of phosphine, 1 mole of phosphorus pentoxide. Let me see that 1 mole of calcium phosphide. The calcium has formula Ca+2, phosphide has formula P-3. So if you cis crossed it, it becomes Ca3P2. This is the formula of calcium phosphide. So this calcium phosphide reacts with excess of water. It undergo hydrolysis. So here the bond is divided. To the calcium, hydroxide is added, OH. Phosphorus hydrogen is added. It gives 3 moles of CaOH taken twice plus 2 moles of pH3. So totally 6 moles of water is used here. So hence 1 mole of calcium phosphide will give 2 moles of phosphine. Hence the right answer here is option C, 2 moles of phosphine. So next question is, which is incorrect about sulfuric acid? So we know that sulfuric acid can act as an oxidizing agent. It has a high boiling point, low volatile in nature, and it can act as a strong acid because of its more dissociation constant of acid Ka value, and it can act as dehydrating agent. So one of the example for dehydrating agent is starring action of sucrose molecule. We know that already. So among all these options, so reducing agent is there, dehydrating agent is there, strong acid is there, oxidizing agent. So these three properties can be shown by sulfuric acid. It can act as oxidizing agent, it can act as a strong acid, it can act as a dehydrating agent, but it cannot act as a reducing agent. I told you already, here sulfur is in +6 oxidation state. It can act as only oxidizing agent, but it cannot act as reducing agent. So the substance which undergo reduction is called oxidizing agent. The substance which undergo oxidation is called oxidizing agent. So already it is in a maximum oxidation state. It never undergo again oxidation. So that's why it cannot act as a reducing agent. So that's why option A is incorrect regarding sulfuric acid. So next is the oxidation state of sulfur in the anions SO3 minus 2, S2O4 minus 2, S2O6 minus 2 follows the order. So let me see the oxidation state of the sulfur in these three anions. So in the first one, SO3 minus 2. So here sulfur oxidation state, let me consider it as X plus oxygen is minus 2 into 3 equal to minus 2. Summation of oxidation state of all the ions in a polyatomic ion is equal to its charge. So x minus 6 equal to minus 2, x equal to plus 4. So oxidation state of sulfur here is plus 4. So in the second compound, so he given S2O4 minus 2. So 2x plus minus 2 into 4 equal to minus 2. So 2x minus 8 equal to minus 2. So 2x equal to plus 6, then x equal to plus 3. Okay. So in case of third option, so here he given S2O6 minus 3. So 2x plus minus 2 into 6 equal to minus 2. So hence here is 2x minus 12 equal to minus 2. So minus 12 ikkadeki bande plus 10. So this then 2x equal to plus 10. So then x equal to plus 5. Plus 5 is the oxidation state. So here you can see that in case of S2O4 minus 2, oxidation number is plus 3. In case of SO3 minus 2, oxidation number is plus 4. Here it is plus 5. So if you go through with the order here, so if you go the increasing order, the first comes here is S2O4 minus 2, that is plus 3. So while writing in the increasing order, first we have to write the least one. So plus 3 is the least, then plus 4, that is SO3 minus 2, then plus 5, that is S2O6 minus 3. So among these, here you just see here, so S2O4 minus 2, here oxidation state of sulfur is plus 3, here it is plus 4, here it is plus 6. It is a increasing order. So hence option B is the right answer here. So next question is, when concentrated H2SO4 come in contact with sugar, it becomes black due to, so sugar means it contains a sucrose. When sucrose with formula C12H22O11, when it reacts with the concentrated sulfuric acid, so this is what charring action of sulfuric acid. Charring action of sulfuric acid, and this reaction explains the dehydration property of sulfuric acid. So here it's sulfuric acid removes water molecule. It forms 12 carbon plus 11 H2O. Because of this formation of carbon black, so it is a soot. So hence why it forms a black, it gives a black compound. This is due to dehydration of sucrose. Hence option D is the right answer here. So next question is, when cold and dilute alkali, that is sodium hydroxide, reacts with chlorine, so which of the following is formed? So this is one of the property of the chlorine. So chlorine can react with alkali, that is base solution. So when chlorine reacts with NaOH, that is hot and concentrated. So hot and concentrated condition refers that here sodium hydroxide is more reactive. So that's why it gives so NaCl plus NaClO3, sodium chlorate and water. So hot and concentrated alkali, that is sodium hydroxide, reacts with chlorine, gives sodium chloride and sodium chlorate and water. So while cold and dilute sodium hydroxide, cold and dilute, where the reactivity of sodium hydroxide is less. So it reacts with chlorine, gives sodium chloride. So instead of sodium chloride, here it gives sodium hypochlorite, NaClO plus water. So this is one of the property of chlorine, that is a reaction with alkali. When it reacts with hot and concentrated, it gives sodium chloride and sodium chloride. When it reacts with cold and dilute alkali, it gives sodium chloride and sodium hypochlorite. So here he is asking that cold and dilute NaOH reacts with chlorine, it forms sodium hypochlorite, that is NaClO. Hence option C is the right answer. Next question is, the reaction of KMnO4 and HCl results in. So KMnO4 reacts with the HCl. So we know that when KMnO4 reacts with HCl, so here chlorine reacts with potassium forming potassium chloride, manganese reacts with chlorine forming manganese chloride, and hydrogen combines with oxygen forming water by the evolution of chlorine gas. So if you see the oxidation state of manganese, here is +7, here it is +2. So +7 to +2 means it is a reduction. So reduction of manganese in from +7 to +2, and the production of chlorine takes place by reacting KMnO4 and HCl. So that's why, so reduction of Mn in KMnO4 and production of Cl2 is the option D is the right answer. So next is, among the following molecules in the given molecules, that is xenon trioxide, xenon oxytetrafluoride, xenon hexafluoride, have same number of lone pair electrons are. If you write the structure of this xenon trioxide Xe, so with a one lone pair of electron, double bond O, double bond O, double bond O. So it is pyramidal structure, pyramidal structure. So if you take FeXeOF4, so Xe, so F, 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 4 fluorines are in a plane. So and so here one lone pair will be there, here double bond O will be there. So this is what square planar. So XeF6 means xenon is there. So 4 fluorines are there in a plane and 2 are perpendicular to the plane with one lone pair electron on the fluorine. So hence one lone pair electron on the xenon. Hence it can form a structure called distorted octahedral. So you just see xenon trioxide, xenon oxytetrafluoride and xenon hexafluoride. All are containing one lone pair electron. Hence all the three are having same number of lone pair electrons. Hence in the option, so option D, 1, 2, 3, all the three are having same number of lone pair electrons on the xenon atom are there. Hence option D is the right answer. So which of the following suggests the correct hybridization and structure of xenon oxytetrafluoride? So we know that xenon oxytetrafluoride, so 4 fluorine atoms are there in the plane. So and one oxygen is perpendicular to the plane. So with one lone pair electron on the oxygen atom. Hence here the structure will be square pyramidal. Square pyramidal. So among the given option, sp3d trigonal planar, sp3d square planar, sp3d2 octahedral and sp3d2 square pyramidal, the correct option here is square pyramidal. So hence option D is the right answer. So kindly follow all the points of this chapter and go through with various reference textbooks and solve so many problems. So if you have any doubts, you can ask me. So thank you. I will meet you in the next video.